Alrighty, what's going on to all my boys fans out there? It is that time that we have been waiting for. The time has come, if you know what I mean. We are talking The Boys Season 3, Episode 6, titled Herogasm. Is it the best episode of the series? Did it live up to the expectations? We're going to be discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler breakdown review. But before we get into it, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And if you all enjoyed this spoiler review of the latest episode of The Boys, well, make sure you're liking and sharing this review. But more importantly, we gotta talk about this episode. Let me know, did it live up to your expectations? What did you think about Herogasm? Was it as X-rated as advertised? And of course, there's a lot of story going on. A-Train and Blue Hawk and everything going on with Starlight, or should I say Annie. And we get a four-way that I wasn't anticipating, but I loved every second of it. Let me know what you all loved, didn't like. What do you all expect to see in next week's episode? And of course, what you all hope to get in the season finale in just 2 weeks. Let's have those discussions in the comments below. So, we got a lot to discuss in this breakdown. Y'all ready to get into Herogasm? Full spoilers ahead. As we open the episode with a very philosophical deep, making a video to the people about being a better people, as we see other celebrities. Black Noir makes a cameo, and I thought that scene was just so funny because if you all remember, they're poking fun of Gal Gadot and the other celebrities from a couple years ago during the pandemic, making that silly-ass video. Very funny, but that was just the tip of the iceberg of the jokes and the absurdity that we get in this episode as we switch over to seeing the Deep, Ashley, Black Noir, and Homelander looking at the wreckage left by Soldier Boy at Crimson's place. And it was in this moment, now listen, I'm taking this scene as two different ways. Now we see Homelander looking at the screen. He's a little bit shooken up right now, understandably why, because we find out that he looked up to Soldier Boy. That was his hero. So he's a little bit like shell-shocked at that moment. But then he's like, okay, I run this company now. If America finds out that their old hero is killing people, that comes back to Vought, which then comes back to me, which will destroy me. And we all know he wants love, right? So there's a little bit of that in the scene. But also, I think Homelander is a little bit afraid of Soldier Boy because they always say you don't want to meet your hero. So I think there's a little bit of scared Homelander in this moment. I could be wrong, but we'll talk about him meeting his hero a little bit later. But getting back to this discussion, we see Homelander is happy to have Black Noir on his side because obviously we know from the flashbacks this season with the payback, Black Noir and Soldier Boy, they were teammates, right? And he's like, I'm happy to have you on my side, which leads us into a very interesting scene. Let's talk about it. So we see Black Noir go into the elevator. He cuts his arm open. He takes out his tracking device. I thought it was so funny when he handed it to that lady. She's like, thank you, with blood all over herself. And Black Noir runs out of the elevator. Now, I've never known a Black Noir to run from a fight. How did you all interpret this scene? Because we're going to talk a little about it a little bit later in the breakdown, because that's the last time we see Black Noir. I'm going to give you all some options. Do we assume that Black Noir was running to find the last remaining member of the payback to team up to maybe take out Soldier Boy? Do we believe Black Noir was running to apologize to Soldier Boy? Or, and I guess there's more options, or do we assume that Black Noir was running to Stan to maybe get Stan's help? Because we haven't gotten Stan in some many weeks, and I think he's somewhere in the background coming up with a plan. So Black Noir running away. What did you all interpret that scene as? Let's talk about it in the comments. But getting back into the discussion, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to kind of briefly go over these next scenes here because to me, the weakest element of this fantastic season, it's my favorite season so far, The Boys, but I gotta be honest with you all. I'm a fan of Kimiko. I love Frenchie. Their subplot is the weakest, to me, is the weakest element of the show so far. So let's briefly go over what they got going in this episode. As we see, Kimiko is worried because Frenchie obviously was taken last week and she doesn't know that. But of course, you know, she's without her powers. She gets taken by Nico's man. And also I love the callback of the icicle, the popsicle, little, why does a photo go to jail? And it's a callback a little bit later. But we see that they're taken and Nina gives Frenchie the option of who he wants to save, his ex-girlfriend, his new girlfriend. We also get a little bit of backstory, some exposition of him chasing pain and just kind of, again, we know she mentioned it earlier in this season that he's like a follower, right? He's not necessarily a leader. So she's giving all the exposition. Meanwhile, we find out why a photo goes to jail. As we see Kimiko breaks out of the cuffs. The guy, sure she would have got shot at least once when he shot through the guy, but neither here nor there. Am I wrong in thinking that she had a little bit of her powers inside of her? Because the guy was obviously, he had taken advantage of her, beating her up, bloodying her up and all that. But there was some times where she looked very quick, breaking his fingers and all the different stuff. So is she slowly getting her powers back? Or again, are they completely out of her system? But neither here nor there. They get out of the situation. Nina somehow escapes, which I don't know. The framing of that shot seemed weird because I thought that Frenchie's old girlfriend knocked her over, and I thought she picked up the gun, but I could be wrong. But neither here nor there, Nina's still out there, which means we're going to still get more of this plot. And honestly, I think this plot is going to lead to one of them dying. I think personally, Frenchie's going to die by the end of the season, or they might leave Nina to season 4. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of their plot. I love those characters, but it's just the least interesting element of this season so far. I could be wrong. Let me know how you all feel about it. But checking into I wouldn't say it's a weak element, but it wasn't the most interesting element. Let's go ahead and check in on what's going on with MM Starlight in this episode. As we see MM saying that he doesn't want to take the high road anymore. He wants blood from Hughie and Butcher for leaving him out, but we see Starlight reminds him that they need strength in numbers, and more importantly, within their kind of scenes and their plot in this episode, we finally find out what happened with MM's family and with Soulja Boy, and we find out that essentially, again, we know Soulja Boy, big popular hero during that time. He throws a car to a house, which happens to be MM's house, which killed his grandfather and I think some other family members, but he blames himself. MM blames himself because he was the one that called his grandfather to the window, like, oh, Grandpa, it's Soulja Boy, his hero, right? Which led to him dying, so that's where he kind of internalized that. I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be more of a direct moment of him having hatred towards Soulja Boy. Don't get me wrong, I understand the trauma, why he blames him, but I thought it was more kind of like a more racially implied scenario that he took out his grandfather, or it was like he could have saved him and he didn't, or something of that nature. But again, you can't throw a car in a house, right? I mean, of course there's going to be there's going to be some collateral damage, and in this case it was MM, but I thought it was just going to be a little bit more personal, I guess. Let me know how you all feel about that reveal. Again, I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a bigger moment, but understanding why he has that hatred towards Soulja Boy. Let me know you guys' thoughts on the reveal that we've been waiting for many, many weeks now. But he finally arrived to Herogasm, and we'll talk about Herogasm. We'll have a whole section of this video dedicated to the sexual stuff going on there. But let's check back into A-Train plot, which we see that Blue Hawk claims that he felt threatened during last week's moment, and he's been sent to 12 weeks of sensitivity training, which I think is Herogasm. But in this moment, we see A-Train wants his justice. He's going to get that justice a little bit later, which was one of my favorite moments of this episode. But also, Ashley has a moment for herself. She finally speaks up to someone telling her what to do and how to do it, and she tells A-Train, listen, dude, I'm not taking your shit. All this stuff I've covered up for you in the years, your murders, your ex-girlfriend, I'm not doing it. So Ashley's getting a little bit bold, and I don't know how much boldness she's going to have because Homelander's running around with no humanities left. I'll see how long this high horse is going to go. But Ashley finally speaks up. Really interesting moment there. But that stuff, like I said, getting all that subplot that wasn't all that interesting besides MM and the reveal. But now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the great elements of this episode. But before we do so, I'm happy to announce Movie Files. We got our very first sponsor. You see this cool t-shirt I'm wearing? Well, this is thanks to the awesome, amazing people at Into the AM. Let's discuss more. Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Into the AM is a clothing company with a variety of amazing products such as t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, shorts and underwear, headwear, and much more. Their t-shirts have unique designs, they're incredibly soft and extremely comfortable, and they're made to last. But the best part is, you can get 10% off by using my discount code MovieFiles when you're selecting your new gear, which you can find that code in the description below. So again, thank you to the sponsor in this video, Into the AM. If you guys want to check out their t-shirts, the different awesome gear they have, I'm going to leave my discount code in the description. Check out their stuff. They got some really cool stuff. And again, I will be wearing more of their awesome shirts. So again, guys, thank you to Into the AM. But let's get back into the discussion and check in what's going on with Homelander here as he learns from the deep about Noir removing his tracking chip, and he also learns that Soulja Boy is taking out his old crew. And also, we've been talking about it for the last few weeks. How does, and I can't remember the Deep's wife's name, but how does she know all this stuff? Where is she getting this information from, right? I think there's going to be a big reveal with her coming up pretty soon in regards to whose side is she on? Is she some secret double agent? Is she a soup secretly not knowing? Like, there's something going on with his girlfriend, or his wife, I should say, that I think is going to be a big reveal. I could be wrong, but she knows a lot of stuff that she shouldn't know. But let me know what you all think about all that. But getting back into Homelander, who this was one of my favorite scenes of this show in regards to this episode. He has a heart-to-heart with himself, the man in the mirror, you might call it, and he has a conversation about him always pushing through and making it out. But then the real issue comes to about where we always know Homelander wants to be loved, but more importantly, he still has a little bit of humanity left inside of him. Now, I thought that his humanity was completely gone, but there's a little bit left, and kind of replaying moments like he could have killed Billy, broke his words, he could have killed Hughie. So I guess there is a little bit of humanity left on the best villain on TV right now. But speaking of the best villain, Antony Starr in this scene is probably my favorite scene of his. I mean, he has some iconic moments, but when he was talking to himself in the mirror, did you all get any Spider-Man vibes? I'm talking about Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, when he was talking to himself and telling Norman to release all his humanity and just be the person he wants to be. I was getting those vibes. And again, I want to give a shout out to Antony Starr. Has always been great in the role, but that scene to me really showed his acting sensibility. That was one of my favorite scenes and one of my favorite Homelander moments of the entire series. Let me know what you all thought about that. But let's cut to what's going on with Soldier Boy and Hughie and Butcher. And by the way, this conversation that Soldier Boy has with Hughie, I found to be very funny. I know some people might feel a certain way as they're talking about Bill Cosby, and he mentions that he made... It's not funny, but he made strong drinks back in the day. We'll just leave it at that. I found that joke to be very interesting. And again, just the mindset of Soldier Boy, right? It's a different time. It's a different era that he's in. But I thought that moment was very interesting as we see Billy and Hughie shooting himself up, and Soldier Boy, which I was hoping that he said, what are you guys shooting into your arm? But I saw them injecting stuff into themselves. So I wonder if that's going to be a plot later on. Like, you guys not even really soups. Why am I working with you? I wonder if that's going to tie back in to some stuff a little bit later. But we now cut back to what's going on with Homelander. He's on TV. He's reminding everyone, which I found to be very funny and also very familiar to situations in reality a couple years ago, when he's like, it's safe. Go outside. You don't have to be stuck inside. I found that to be interesting. But this moment here, Nadia and Starlight, or Annie, so great. The tension in this scene, and the actress that plays Nadia, Victoria, was so great in this moment as she's talking like, oh, Starlight, where's Hughie? Oh, he's camping with his dad. Oh, I thought that he was avoiding me because he knows I'm going to pop his head. And I love Annie in this scene. Excuse me? What happened? What happened? And she's like, don't play with me, Annie. I know you know the situation. And the back and forth. And we ultimately see that, and I don't know if this is Nadia speaking on behalf of Homeland, or if this is like her little side deal, or if, I don't know if she's talking to Stan again. I don't know. But she tells her, listen, you have a following. You should use it. Let me use some of your followers for I can boost myself and do some good, as she calls it, for her daughter, for the rest of the world. And we see Starlight, you know what? I'm tired of it. There were so many moments in this episode where characters like, you know what? I don't want to take this anymore. Ashley, A-Train a little bit later, Hughie a little bit later. And now we see this with Starlight. She's like, or Annie, tells her, forget that. I don't want to screw you, screw Voss, screw Homelander. I'm not taking this deal. And, Nadia says, okay, well, let's just keep this conversation between us girls because, I know you're America's sweetheart and you'll be hard to take out, but it's not impossible. And the moment she walks by her and she gives her that little warning because she can blow up her head at any point and her nose bleeds. Oh my goodness, I love that scene. I love that actress, by the way, and I think she's crushing it as Nadia. I hope that they don't kill her by the end of the season. I hope we get more of her moving forward. Like, I hope Stan doesn't kill her or Homelander. What a great moment. But now, let's get into the actual moment that we've come here to talk about. But I hope the kids didn't watch this episode because it gets X-rated. It is time, and it was about, 20 minutes into the episode, Herogasm has arrived as the Deep finds the twins, and they're now doing this. I think this is the 17th anniversary of Herogasm, and the nasty is here. But first, Starlight, they arrive, Starlight and MM, and we get the love sausage moment, which was that the same guy that was in season 2 that was in the asylum, and he did the same thing. I'm pretty sure that's the same character, as he even recognized, like, I know you. So I'm pretty confident that's the same character from that last season. But we see the Love Sausage, and we see make their way in there, and I can't really describe what we see in these next few moments because YouTube, you can't say certain things on here, but it was X-rated. It was NC-17. I've seen my fair share of sexual things on TV. I watched a lot of HBO, and we all know HBO goes there, and of course a lot of movies. But yeah, it was pretty X-rated. It was definitely XXX rated. Probably, man, I'm trying to think the last that much nudity. Probably Game of Thrones, maybe. But the stuff we see in the scene, Termite comes back. Gets his jacket ruined. You know what I mean there. There was ice sculptures. There were sex toys. There was powers being used for multiple people in multiple situations. I mean, yeah, you guys saw the scene. Did it live up to the X-ratedness? I think it did. I think Herogasm, and I've read some of the issues of the boys, and this was the issues are a lot more. It's crazy stuff that they do there, but I applaud the writers and the directors and the creators and the actors. That was pretty X-rated. Well, we'll just leave it at that. Let me know, did you all feel that Herogasm lived up to the X-ratedness? Let's talk about it. Be very careful what you say in the comments there, but let's have a discussion about Herogasm. But there's more to discuss in this episode as we see Butcher and Hughie arrive, and this is where we actually find out that Soldier Boy and Stormfront were a thing back in the day, and they were the ones that created Herogasm back in 52, which I thought was very interesting. But this is where we see Hughie's like, listen, I don't want people to die. Give me 3 minutes, which I thought that was funny considering that all these people are having sex, and 1 minute men, 3 minute men. He give them 3 minutes, but give me 3 minutes where I can locate the twins, and they agreed to do so. Meanwhile, we see the Starlight trying to get Blue Hawk and get the others out of there, but they got more on their mind as we see Hughie makes his way in there, and they have a conversation and whatnot. But before they have a conversation, Annie comes across the Deep, who's getting pleasured by an octopus. Again, the Deep, very funny individual and very funny moment there. But awkward moment, Hughie. Like, you got all this stuff going on. He decides to take the moment to pull A-Train aside, and he says, you know what? He's feeling a little big right now, metaphorically speaking. He's like, I got the V24 in my systems, and I want you to apologize. You never apologize for what you did to Robin. And surprisingly so, again, this is another example of a character not standing up for themselves, right? And surprising to me, A-Train's like, you know what? I do apologize, man. It is, because obviously what happened to his brother, he can relate to that moment, right? He's like, I apologize for what I did to you. But he punches him in the face, like, I don't really want your apology. I want to kill you with these powers I have now. But we see Starlight gets in the way and stops that from happening. But again, I think this is just fuel to the fire to what we're going to see A-Train do here in a second. But Soldier Boy is here, and he finds the twins, and they have a conversation, and this is where we see Hughie takes out Starlight because this is about to go down. Soldier Boy finds the twins. They try to do their little power thing. It doesn't work, but the music plays in the background, and we'll get to what happens in this moment. But before that happens, I should say, let me go back. Comes face to face with Soldier Boy, and he tries to take him out, but this is where Butcher stops him from doing so. And then reversing that scene, that's where, and by the way, come on, bro. Like, what do you think you're doing? As he's trying to knock out Butcher, it doesn't work. But going back to the scene where he finds the twins, he hears the music, and this is where it happens. He kills he doesn't kill. I think they said they killed 19 civilians and 19 superheroes, or maybe it was 12, maybe it was 24 altogether. But he takes out a lot of people and makes obviously a lot of damage, a lot of people injured. But now the fun part happens. Now the action happens. And this is the most action we've gotten in the boys. Well, season 2 finale, that was a cool fight when we got Stormfront versus Kimiko, Maeve, and that fight was awesome. But this fight here, because we really, if we're being honest with each other, we really haven't seen a lot of Homelander in action, right? Like fist to fist, fighting someone. We got a glimpse of him saving people, but never like fighting like we get here. Homelander arrives. We see Soldier Boy and Billy, and Homelander's like, oh, I should have known it was you, Billy. But we made a deal. We were going to kill each other, but this isn't fair. I'm going to break the deal. He shoots him, laser him, and he thinks he kills Billy. We'll get to him a little bit later. Meanwhile, we see Homelander meets his hero. He's like, man, I looked up to you, and yeah, I'm going to have to kill you now. So they're getting it. The fight was awesome. MM wakes up. Starlight convinces him to, fight another day. Let's help these people. The fight was so awesome. Like, the fight between those two was so great. We see Homelander punching. They're going blow for blow. He uses his lasers. He inevitably gets the upper hand on Soldier Boy. He's stronger than his hero, choking him out. And this is where Billy comes in. Oh, I might. And then they go at it. We got 2-on-1, and they're teaming up, beating him up. Homelander doesn't. He's shocked as hell. Like, what did you do, Billy? And now he has it in his system, and Butcher's going in, man. It was so great to see that 2-on-1 fight. But that's just one more surprise. We got one more, and that is Hughie, a 3 versus 1. Hughie comes in, doesn't really get any licks, but he does his little portation thing, and at this point, Homelander doesn't know what to do, how this is happening. They pin him down, and they got their weapon. He's about to do his explosion thing, and ultimately, Homelander gets enough fuel in the fire to escape and fly out of the room. That's just round 1. I can't wait to see that fight again. I don't want to rush over it. Awesome fight. Probably the best fight of the show next to last year's season finale when they took out Stormfront. That fight was awesome. I can't wait to see them fight again. And shout out to Hughie. Like I said, he didn't really get as many licks, but it was pretty awesome to see him in the mix. Let me know what you all thought about that fight. But wrapping up the episode here as we get into the final moments, we end with Kimiko and Frenchie as she believes that she's always been the monster and they can't run away from their past. And again, I think their plot's going to ultimately lead to Frenchie dying, but maybe before he dies, they're going to probably both have to take some V24 to ultimately get in the mix and get to the fight and maybe take out Nina in doing so. We cut back to Homelander as he looks in the mirror, and I think it's official, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever ounce of humanity he had inside of him is no longer there. He's about to go rage. He is about to go all in, and I'm here for it. But getting to the last moments, we see Starlight and MM go live on her Instagram, and she tells every one of her 100 and something million followers that this was Soldier Boy that did this, and your heroes don't care about you, including Homelander. And we see that Starlight no longer will be going by Starlight. She wants to be called Annie, and she quits in front of all her fans. Great way to end the episode, but a couple things that I have as far as like, okay, what next? Where is Maeve? Did they kill her? Is she somewhere hidden? I don't think they killed her off screen. We're going to get more of Maeve, but it'll be interesting to see how they implement her back in the story. Meanwhile, Black Noir, where did you go? Did you go get your stand? Did you get your last member? Because I think the only remaining member in the payback is Mindstorm, I think is his name. So did he get him? Is he looking for Soldier Boy? Again, how does Stan play into all this stuff that's going on here? And of course, with Annie calling out Vought, does that bring down the company? Will people now just even like Homelander more? I guess. But very interesting stuff here. I asked the question, did it live up to the hype? Besides the Kimiko, Frenchie stuff that I just didn't really care for, this was a great episode. Now, is it the best episode of the season? Right now, my favorite episode is episode 4, when they went to Russia and all that stuff. Yes, I'm going to confidently say this is my favorite episode of this season. As far as the show goes, I really have to think about that, but this is definitely top tier. It lived up to the hype to me, because not only did it go to the absurdity and the ridiculousness and the X-ratedness of the Herogasm, and they really went there. There was all the stuff that we saw, but then it managed to still have a very interesting story about stepping up, people being who they want to be, and also I completely ignored the fact that A-Train finally did something pretty cool. He grabs Blue Hawk, uses his powers, his power speed, and scrapes him all against the ground, killing him. But also, did he kill himself? So is A-Train dead? Did he have a heart attack and someone's going to find him to put V24 in his veins? I guess that's something to look forward to as far as the weeks ahead. But overall, man, I was pretty satisfied, if you know what I mean about this episode. Hey, full breakdown, almost 30-something minutes long. This is a great episode, but I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Pros, cons, thoughts, theories, and everything in between. Again, shout out to the sponsor of this video, Into the AM. All that information is in the link in the bio. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you all for watching the review. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my future reviews. I'll be back next week breaking down the next episode. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other boys reviews. Check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown. Yeah.